In a small, bustling village nestled between rolling hills and a sparkling river, the air was filled with excitement. The month of Ramadan was about to begin, and the children of the village could hardly contain their joy. For them, Ramadan was not just a time of fasting and prayer. It was a time of magic, community, and discovery. Among the children were three best friends. Aisha, a curious and imaginative girl with a love for stories. Yusuf, a thoughtful and kind boy who always had a solution to every problem. And little Zainab, the youngest of the trio, whose laughter was as bright as the morning sun. As the sun dipped below the horizon, the village came alive with the sounds of drums and the call to prayer. The children gathered in the square, where the elders were preparing for the first Taraweeh prayer of Ramadan. Aisha, Yusuf, and Zainab stood at the edge of the crowd, their eyes wide with wonder. "Look," Aisha whispered, pointing to the sky. "The moon! It's the Ramadan moon!" The next morning, the children woke up early for suhoor, the pre-dawn meal. They ate quietly with their families, savoring the delicious food and the warmth of being together. After Fajr prayer, the children decided to explore the village and see how everyone was preparing for Ramadan. As they wandered through the narrow streets, they noticed something unusual. At the edge of the village, there was a small, dusty shop that they had never seen before. The sign above the door read, "The Lantern Maker." "Who's the Lantern Maker?" Zainab asked, her eyes wide with curiosity. "I don't know," Yusuf replied, "but let's find out." The children pushed open the creaky door and stepped inside. The shop was filled with lanterns of all shapes and sizes, each one more beautiful than the last. Some were made of colorful glass, while others were crafted from delicate metalwork. The lanterns glowed softly, casting a warm light that made the shop feel like a magical place. In the corner of the shop, an old man with a long white beard was busy working on a new lantern. He looked up and smiled when he saw the children. "Welcome, young ones," he said in a gentle voice. "I am the Lantern Maker. What brings you to my shop? We've never seen your shop before," Aisha said. "Are you new to the village?" The Lantern Maker chuckled. "Oh, I've been here for many years, but my shop only appears during Ramadan. You see, these lanterns are special. They are not just for light. They are for guiding hearts towards the true spirit of Ramadan." The children were intrigued. "What do you mean?" Yusuf asked. The Lantern Maker picked up a lantern and held it out to them. Each lantern has a story, and each story teaches a lesson about Ramadan. If you listen carefully, the lanterns will guide you on a journey of discovery. The children exchanged excited glances. They knew they had stumbled upon something extraordinary. "Can we take a lantern?" Zainab asked eagerly. The Lantern Maker nodded. "Of course, but remember, the lanterns are not just for decoration. They are meant to be used to light your way through the month of Ramadan. Take good care of them, and they will take care of you." The children each chose a lantern. Aisha picked a lantern with swirling patterns of blue and green. Yusuf chose one with intricate geometric designs, and Zainab selected a small lantern shaped like a star. As they left the shop, the Lantern Maker called after them. "Remember, the light of the lanterns will guide you, but it is up to you to follow the path." That evening, after breaking their fast with delicious dates and refreshing water, the children gathered in Aisha's backyard. They lit their lanterns and watched as the soft glow illuminated the night. "Let's see if the Lantern Maker was right," Aisha said. "Maybe the lanterns will tell us a story." As they sat in a circle, the lanterns began to glow brighter, and a gentle voice filled the air. It was the voice of the lanterns, and it began to tell a story. Long ago, in a village much like yours, there lived a young boy named Amir. Amir was known for his kindness and generosity, but he was also very curious. He wanted to understand the true meaning of Ramadan, so he set out on a journey to find the light of Ramadan. The children listened intently as the story unfolded. Amir traveled through forests, crossed rivers, and climbed mountains in search of the light of Ramadan. Along the way, he met many people who taught him valuable lessons about patience, gratitude, and compassion. Finally, after many days of searching, Amir reached the top of a high mountain. There, he found a glowing lantern, just like the ones the children held in their hands. The lantern spoke to him and said, "The light of Ramadan is not something you can find outside of yourself. It is the light of faith, kindness, and love that you carry in your heart." Amir returned to his village with the lantern, and he shared the lessons he had learned with everyone. From that day on, the village celebrated Ramadan with a deeper understanding of its true meaning. As the story ended, the lantern's glow softened, and the children sat in silence, reflecting on what they had heard. "That was amazing," Yusuf said finally. "It's like the lanterns are teaching us about Ramadan." Aisha nodded. "I think the lantern maker was right. These lanterns are special. They're guiding us, just like they guided Amir." Zainab hugged her star-shaped lantern tightly. "I can't wait to see what other stories they have to tell." The children gazed up at the crescent moon, its gentle light casting a silver glow over the village. It was a sign that Ramadan had officially begun, and the children felt a swore of excitement. They knew that this month would be filled with blessings, challenges, and adventures. The next day, the children faced their first real challenge of Ramadan: fasting. They woke up early for suhoor, but as the day went on, they began to feel hungry and thirsty. By mid-afternoon, Zainab was struggling the most. "I don't think I can do it," she said, her voice trembling. "I'm so hungry." Aisha and Yusuf sat down beside her. "It's hard, but we can do it together," Aisha said. "Remember what the lanterns taught us about patience and perseverance?" Yusuf nodded. "And think about all the people who don't have enough food or water. Fasting helps us understand what they go through every day." Zainab took a deep breath and tried to focus on the lessons from the lanterns. She thought about Amir's journey and how he had faced many challenges but never gave up. Slowly, she began to feel stronger. When the call to Maghrib prayer finally echoed through the village, the children broke their fast with a sense of accomplishment. They had made it through their first day of fasting, and they knew that each day would bring new challenges and new lessons. As the days passed, the children continued to light their lanterns each evening and listen to the stories they had to tell. One night, the lanterns told the story of a generous baker named Fatima. Fatima lived in a small town where many people were poor and hungry. During Ramadan, she decided to bake extra bread and give it to those in need. Every night, after Taraweeh prayers, she would distribute the bread to the poor, ensuring that no one went to bed hungry. The children were inspired by Fatima's story, and they decided to follow her example. They went to the village baker and asked if they could help him bake bread for the poor. The baker was delighted and agreed to teach them. For the next few days, the children worked hard, kneading dough, shaping loaves, and baking bread. They learned that giving to others was not always easy, but it was always rewarding. When they distributed the bread to the poor, they saw the smiles on people's faces and felt a deep sense of joy. Fatima was right, Aisha said as they walked home one evening. "Giving to others is one of the best parts of Ramadan." Yusuf nodded. "It's like the lantern said, the light of Ramadan is in our hearts, and when we share it with others, it grows brighter." Zainab smiled. "I feel so happy when we help people. It's like the lanterns are guiding us to do good things." As the first Ashra of Ramadan came to an end, the children began to prepare for Lialatul Qadar, the night of power. They had heard that this was the most special night of the year, when the Quran was first revealed to the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. The lanterns told them a story about a young girl named Layla, who stayed up all night in prayer on Lialatul Qadar. She prayed for her family, her friends, and the whole world. As she prayed, she felt a deep sense of peace and connection to Allah. The children decided that they too would stay up late in prayer on Lialatul Qadar. They gathered in Aisha's house, lit their lanterns, and began to pray. They prayed for their families, for the poor, for peace in the world, and for guidance in their own lives. As they prayed, they felt the same sense of peace that Layla had felt. The lanterns glowed brighter than ever, filling the room with a warm, golden light. It was as if the light of Ramadan was shining through them, guiding them towards the true meaning of the holy month. On the final night of the first Ashra, the children gathered once more to light their lanterns. They had learned so much in just 10 days, and they knew that the rest of Ramadan would be filled with even more lessons and adventures. The lanterns told them one final story about a wise old man who lived in the mountains. The old man had a lantern that never went out, no matter how strong the wind or how dark the night. People from all over the world came to see the lantern and asked the old man how he kept it lit. The old man would smile and say, "The light of this lantern comes from within. It is the light of faith, of love, and of kindness. As long as you carry that light in your heart, no darkness can ever extinguish it." The children understood the message. The light of Ramadan was not just in the lanterns. It was within them. It was the light of their faith, their kindness, and their love for others. As long as they carried that light, they would always find their way. As they blew out their lanterns and prepared for bed, the children felt a deep sense of gratitude. They had discovered the true spirit of Ramadan, and they knew that it would stay with them long after the month was over. The next morning, the children returned to the lantern maker's shop to thank him for the lanterns and the lessons they had learned. But when they arrived, the shop was gone. In its place was a small garden, filled with flowers and a single lantern hanging from a tree. The children realized that the lantern maker had been a guide, sent to help them discover the light of Ramadan. They knew that the lessons they had learned would stay with them forever, and that the light of their lanterns would continue to guide them on their journey through life. As they walked back to the village, the children felt a deep sense of peace and joy. They knew that Ramadan was a time of magic, community, and discovery, and they were grateful for the gift of the lanterns and the light they had brought into their lives. And so, the first Ashra of Ramadan came to an end, but the children's journey was just beginning. With the light of their lanterns and the lessons they had learned, they were ready to face the rest of Ramadan with faith, kindness, and love.